me $2. Oh, until the next time I see you. But these last $2, I'm not gonna lose. These last $2, I'm not gonna lose. One going for my bus fare, other one for the jukebox to hear me some blues. Gotta hear me some blues. She said I wouldn't be over here. My man had been treating me right. I came here to try to catch him, yeah. 'Cause he been sneaking around every night. But I got caught up over here.
Well, we are live here at GSJBC Radio. That is Frederick Collins' theme song for coming in because the mayor is in the house. Ask the Mayor for 2015 is here. Ask the Mayor for 2015. Every week we have Ask the Mayor for 2015. Frederick Collins, he's in the house. How you doing, sir?
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Excited. I'm glad you're here. You got on your suit to boot today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, all dressed to kill. Okay.
Did you not like my music?
Man, I like that music, man.
My last $2.
Your last $2. So hopefully the city of Chicago will have to understand. He's not going to take away your last $2.
That's all you got left with these parking meters is $2.
Just $2.
Red light cameras leave you with only $2.
Oh,
so I'm telling you now what we're going to do with our last $2.
What we going to do with our last $2?
Well, look, we ain't going to give them these last $2.
We're not going to give them those last $2. Well, you know, I want to thank you very much for coming. You know what? I'm going to get straight to the point. Mayor Frederick Collins.
Yes, sir.
We have just been officially announced as the murder capital of the United States. What's your thought about that? What's your view? What are we going to do about this?
Well, here's what I'm going to do about it. Is to begin to go into the communities like I've done all my life in public service. You know, I've been a Chicago police officer a little over 20 years now, almost 21 years. But more importantly, since I was age 17, I've worked in the community, helping to fight for fair housing, fair, moderate, low-income housing, justice, jobs, working with our seniors. These are issues that growing up in Chicago, I was always very active in because my parents were active in them. Through our church and community groups. As you know, right now, I'm also a member of the NAACP, Coalition of African American Men. I belong to the same church, Open Door Apostolic Church, for 45 years. That's a long time. That shows commitment. And so I am committed to our community, to our nation, to our Constitution, and to our city. And that's what it's going to take to turn things around. But what am I going to do about the high crime? Well, the first thing we've got to do is open up the lines of communication. That's number one. Between government and the community, the people of Chicago. The second thing we've got to do is come with, and it's going to be a shocker to you, economic development. And when I say economic development, what do I mean? You know, you hear every politician talking about, oh yeah, we're going to do jobs and economic development. Well, tell me how you're going to do it. You've been saying the same thing for 30, 40, 50 years, and nothing has changed. How are you going to do it? Well, this is how Collins for Chicago plans on doing it. We're going to utilize community block grants, tax increment financing, which is TIF money, which was started in 1983 through the Honorable Great Harold Washington. And for many of you who don't understand what tax increment financing is, it's the portion of taxes collected in any community turned around and reinvested back in that community. So all of the Walmarts and Walgreens and McDonald's and shops and different things in which the city would collect taxes from would then take that money and reallocate it back into that exact same community so that the money circulates to bring that community forward. You know, you got all of these double talking politicians, and all of them you're going to get, you know, right now I think there's currently 4 or 5 of us in the race for mayor of the city of Chicago, and you're probably going to get about 4 or 5 more, but all of them are going to say basically the same thing but tell you how they're going to get it done.
Who are the other candidates?
Well, you have the gentleman who once was an alderman and his
Bob
brother
Shaw.
was you got Bob Shaw, Robert Shaw, and then you have the young lady Amira,
Okay.
who's a beautiful, intelligent African American woman. But the only problem with it is that she learned under Daley pretty much the same thing that Daley gave us, and we don't want to repeat the same thing for another 22 years.
Okay.
And that is, telling the people one thing and then doing something else. My staff and I, we monitor everything. We're out in the streets all the time. And one of the things we hear from the community when we're out there going door to door the old-fashioned way. See, when I came up in Chicago, I was born and raised in Chicago. And real Chicagoans know real Chicagoans. They don't fall for the exactly. So what they know is that what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And when you're talking to another native Chicagoan, there is no at all. There's only truth. And the fact is that this city is closer to being like Detroit than ever before. The corruption.
I think we already are there.
Hey, you know what?
I mean, after we have an official report stating that city of Chicago is officially the murder capital of the United States, they have knocked Gary, Indiana was the murder capital of the United States. Then it was Washington, D.C., then San Francisco, then Las Vegas, and Chicago fell in between somewhere. But now we're number one.
Well, according to the superintendent of police, crime is going down. So when I asked the question, where is it going down from, I guess the answer would be down from his house. Because right in front of ours, it continues to happen. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant. Anybody who knows Frederick Collins knows the history of me and my family and know how I've always been an activist, a community activist, a public servant. I chose to be a Chicago police officer to serve and protect. It certainly wasn't to get rich, because that's not going to happen.
Okay.
I'm not interested in that. My heart leads me to fight and be there for the cause of those whose voices go unheard. And that's really what I'm about. So when you look at my platform, when you look at my plan, on my thing it says putting people above politics. Plain, simple, straight to the point. Right now, the people are suffering under politics. And in order to make sure that the people no longer suffer under politics, we've got to have the people above politics.
Okay.
See, I don't do double talk. I was raised on the greater west side of Chicago. And I keep it as real as it can get.
Okay, so you're going to keep it real, you're going to talk it real, you're going to explain it real, but at the same time, people want to know what action is going to be done right now. I know you're not in the seat as mayor of Chicago right now, but you are running, but that still puts you in the seat and still has the spotlight on you. I even asked the other candidate, are you going to attend this young lady's funeral?
Most definitely. Let me say one thing.
Or is it going to be on politics level?
No, this is the thing. I respect the privacy of any family. And so you have to allow them that privacy. Have we reached out to many families that have suffered? This is one that just hit the headlines. But let me tell you something. I was there when the young man got beat down with the boards.
Okay, Darian Albert.
That's right.
Okay.
I was there when Hadia Pendleton got shot.
Okay.
But also I was there for many others you've never even heard of. I'm a Chicago police officer. I respond to shootings and calls all the time.
Okay.
I'm looking at children that grew up with my children who are no longer here. So I don't pick and choose whom to be most concerned about. I'm concerned about every last child. And we've had this private conversation. One of the things that really saddens and bothers my heart and my soul is those children that are dying out there on the street look like me.
Look like you and me.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, when I come with it, I come wholeheartedly, not to play any games.
Okay.
This city is suffering at an all-time high. And let me tell you something else. The other thing that's one of the best kept secrets when it comes to crime in this city is the number of drug heroin overdoses of white children from the suburbs.
So how will the new mayor get these drug houses out of the area? We talked about this last couple of shows about drug houses being in the area and people don't know about it. But now it seems like heroin is now overtaking the crack houses now. And it seems like it's making a problem for the Chicago police officers out here trying to do their job because they have to attend to nonsense, answer nonsense. But with you sitting in the seat of becoming mayor of Chicago, you have enough nonsense that's going already on the books. So what is your main strategy at this point right now? Because of, we have this stigma placed on us already, being the murder capital. Then you have the finances that's coming up being thrown all over the place, and with the pension reform. Now they're talking about charter schools. What's your view about with the school? Betty, what's her name? Betty. Dr.
Barbara Bird.
Yeah, Dr. Barbara Bird.
Well, first of all, you don't have to worry about Dr. Barbara Bird Bennett, nor the superintendent of police. I'm gonna fire both of them. They're gone.
Okay.
That's done. That answers your question.
What about Dr. Love? Bringing her back.
Let me tell you something.
Okay.
Seriously, our children need someone to speak for them. They're children. And the loss of life that's happening in our community is a part of a system and a lack of parenting on some cases. Let's just be truthful about it. And self-identification. See, you can't address an issue if you ignore the symptoms. How are you going to fix anything or cure any ill if you ignore the symptoms? And that's what happens with politicians. They're always ignoring the symptoms. They know what the problem is, but they don't want to say they're going to fix it or how they're going to fix it. I talk about economic development. I talk about saving our schools through community block grants, through Title I funding for our schools. Title I funding addresses all of the issues in dollar amount that we're suffering in our schools right now. Do you know that? Title I funding is funding put aside from the federal government that will address the issues of the dropout rate, books, equipment, teaching staff levels, classrooms, fixing and modernization of our schools. But guess what? The politicians want to play games. And when I say the politicians, I mean the alderman and the mayor. It always upsets me that we have all of these, and I'm just talking right now about the black politicians that are sitting in City Hall that don't take a stand for the black community. And you know who you are. Don't make me say your name, because I'm not going to say it. Sawyer, I'm not going to say it. Bill, I'm not going to say it.
Go ahead and say it.
Okay?
Do it for the vine. Say it.
I'm going to tell the truth.
Okay.
They have to sign off on every piece of legislation and ordinance that goes through the City Hall. Okay? And all they do is rubber stamp everything that the mayor says. Rubber stamp, rubber stamp. And not only them, but tell me why we have almost 20-something legislative positions, representatives in Springfield, and that this mayor was allowed to close 55 schools.
So let me ask you a question. What is your thought, your view about the settlement for the James McHugh construction settlement? It's a $12 million whistleblower settlement for this construction that has involvement with Chicago minorities, and has set aside programs that is not meant for the city south side or the west side community. What is your thoughts about that?
Well, my thoughts are this, is that it's far too long since this city has done what it needed to do to be respectful of the diversity in this city. And when I say the diversity in this city, the allocation of contracts as well as capital for minorities in this city. Black and Latinos, Polish, have been far too long ignored when it comes to building anything in this city. And I just refuse to believe that Walsh Construction has to get every last contract in this city to build anything. That is just outright ridiculous and unacceptable. And as mayor, they will get far less contracts. That's right, you're going to get far less contracts, Walsh. Walsh Construction has gone from being a little penny-ante construction company to a mega million corporation. And it all happened under the Daley administration, and today continues to happen under the Rahm Emanuel administration. And let me tell you something. I heard, excuses from other people in this race about how they were part of one administration. You heard from Robert Fioretti, who's made excuses, for why he didn't participate in different things and why the schools still got closed and this. The citizens don't pay your salary to give excuses. They pay your salary to give results. And when you have the people with you and you take the people with you, it makes things change. It is just that simple. My campaign encompasses the voice and the power of the people. That's why we don't have any problem or any fear of going anywhere. That's why we're received all over the city. You're going to get a lot of these candidates to get in this race, and they're going to give you some misinformation, disinformation, non-information. And that's just totally unacceptable. Wow. Tell me how you intend to fix this city. It's got to be through jobs, economic development, okay? It's got to be through that. Because people, you just can't tell them to say no to something, and you don't have something for them to say yes to. And it also means investing in real money, in real time, in our public education. I want to put every last teacher that was laid off because of Rahm Wreckham Chicago, I want to put them back to work.
I have an email here from a listener right now. Why does Illinois Democratic House speakers feel suited against the term limits being on ballots that are political supported? How does the mayor play a role with this Democratic governor right now?
Well, first of all, it should be term limits. It should be, because you need fresh and new ideas. And when you get people who have been in office 20, 30 years, they become comfortable. They become disconnected from the people. When was the last time you actually saw walking down your block, standing up on a table anywhere, demanding that the people be heard? From any of these politicians that are in office right now, they're always the Johnny-come-latelys. After something happens, they get together, they stand in front of the camera, and nothing ever changes. Message: the same problems we had 20, 30 years ago in Chicago still exist today.
So how can the new mayor eliminate that or get around this issue?
Well, the first thing is, I don't want to get around any issue. I want to deal with it head on. Let's start to bring back jobs in this city. Let's lower the property taxes in this city. That's right, lower the property taxes. They too high. You got that right. They're too high. We've got to do things that encourage people to want to move back into this city, start a business. And that means lowering the property taxes. That means streamlining what it takes to open up a business. Right now, there are too many things you have to do just to open up a simple business in the city of Chicago. You got to pay off the alderman. You got to bankroll the mayor's next election. You got to pay you got to give one of their family members a job, and that's just ridiculous. It's time out for the nonsense. This is a great city. It's not a great city because of the tall buildings or the architecture. It's a great city because of the diversity and the people in the city of Chicago. And I'm going to be the next mayor and the next mayor of the people.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, give us a call at 708-343-3906. That's 708-343-3906. We have asked the mayor several questions. We know you know how it is once it starts getting a little, just put the meat on the grill. So it's starting to cook right now. So we know how it is. And we had tons of calls that blew up last week, back. So we're looking for it not to do too long. The time is 3:30. I want everybody to give me a call. Smooth jazz, gospel jazz, inspirational radio. You're listening to the Rob G Afternoon Drive Show. So if you got any questions, hey, give me a call today, because we're listening to you and want to know what your feelings are about these issues. So if you got any questions, give us a call. Smooth jazz, inspirational is here for you. We have future mayor of Chicago, Frederick Collins, live here in the studio. We're going to go to a musical break. And of course, if you don't have anything else to say, we're going to ask you to just be cool about it, because the mayor has something to say to you.
All right. My lady at the casino. She lost all her money. She said, don't feel sorry for me. No. Don't feel sorry, honey. But if you want to do a lady a favor, here's what I want you to do. Just loan me $2. Oh, until the next time I see you. These last $2, I'm not gonna lose. These last $2, I'm not gonna lose. One going for my bus fare, other one for the jukebox, to hear me some blues. Gotta hear me some blues. She said I wouldn't be over here. My man had been treating me right. I came here to try to catch him, yeah. 'Cause he been sneaking around every night. But I got caught up over here, yeah. Got caught up in this scene. And I put all of my money in that doggone gallon machine.
And that is those pay boxes on the street. We talking about those pay boxes on the street. Oh, we have the old school, only school mayor that is coming back with a fresh idea, fresh feeling. Your future mayor for Chicago, Frederick Collins, for 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to give me a call at 708-343-3906, 708-343-3906. That is the station that you need to listen to, as GSJBC Radio. We're asking, oh, I can't even get a word out of my mouth. Oh, that's just a telemarketer. So we just gonna, okay. We can see the telemarketers. Who is this calling now? Yeah, another telemarketer. We're not gonna answer that one. So let's talk about this pension situation that's going on with all the mayors, the pension cuts. How's this going to affect the police and fire department with the pensions?
Well, first of all, the pensions aren't a problem. The politicians are a problem. You see, I'm a Chicago police officer, and whenever I go to work, they take the money out for my pension. I don't even get a chance to see it. Matter of fact, I never even met that money. If I bumped into it in the street, I wouldn't even know it. The problem is that the city and the politicians in office have not kept their contractual agreement, which is that the city would also contribute to my pension. For every dollar I put in, they're supposed to match it, and for years of service. But they haven't done that. And now here it is, 30 years later, they want to cry foul. They want to change the contract. They want to blame the taxpayers. They want to blame the working class citizens of our great city. Not gonna happen. Let me tell you what's gonna happen. I'm gonna make sure that our pension is shored up, because I'm gonna get rid of the waste and corruption that exists in City Hall. I will make sure that every last city worker receives their pension. But more importantly, this has always concerned me and baffled me, is why does the city get to keep so much of the pension? I think that when I come into office, matter of fact, what I'm going to do as mayor is make sure that every city worker at retirement age receives 80% of their pension. 80% of their pension they will receive with me as mayor. Now, I know you're jumping up and down and catching the Holy Ghost and everything, but yes, 80% of your pension you should receive at retirement age. The other thing is the COLA should be at least 3% each year, just so that it can keep close to the cost of living. Because we know factually that the cost of living goes up every year anywhere from 3 to 7%. So we've got to make sure that those who have served us well, who have done 25, 30 years, making sure that this city was a global attraction, was safe and responsive to all its citizens, that we reward them and we take care of them just as they took care of us all those years. Because as you get older, you need certain things. And one of the things you need to be able to do is still be able to take care of yourself, pay for your medicine, be able to provide a roof over your head. We're not talking about people who haven't worked and earned what they're asking for. And as a union member and as a pensioner myself, I am going to make sure that those are protected. As mayor, I will not entertain any alderman or anyone talking about diminishing any pension or any medical benefits to our city workers.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got Tri-Shy in the house right now. She's going to ask the mayor a few questions. Go ahead, Tri.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. Like, this question I wanted to ask is when you say we have a community block grants that are generated for the communities, or like Inglewood and things like that. These are low income areas, poverty-stricken areas. Most of the residents here are, on Section 8, welfare, not working at all. Since there's no income being generated in those areas, where are you going to get that money to siphon to? Because these are the areas that are being hit. These are where our children are dying.
Well, what has happened is, you're absolutely right. There's no money being generated there because there's a thiefdom happening. See, money's supposed to be generated there. The other day the mayor talked about grant money. See, they don't tell you it's community block grant money, which is a congressional legislation which is supposed to be applied to any city that has a population of 50,000 or more with impoverished or poverty-stricken areas. And what's a fact is that there's no amount of money that you can ask for. So if you need $50 million, you get $50 million. I'll give you the perfect example. The city of Chicago said they had no money shortly after closing the schools. But Mark Kirk and these other puppet politicians got on TV and said, you know what? We're going to get $50 million. Get this, $50 million to deal with the gang problem in Chicago. Well, if the idiots would have spent $50 million on the schools, there'd be no children outside to be gang banging, number one. If you invested in the schools and you also created some jobs, people would not be out there robbing, stealing, and selling drugs. You have to understand one thing. Where there is a huge investment and focus on community development, education, investment, and job creation, crime goes down. And right now what's happening is there's a lack of the things I just mentioned. So crime is doing what? It's going up. So one of the things I talk about that I will utilize and do is the use of community block grants. But not just the use of community block grants. There's so many other resources that we could also pull revenue from. Like, I'm going to tell you one thing. McDonald's, Walgreens, Walmart, all these companies, airline companies, they all get what's called tax breaks. When was the last time you got a tax break?
When they took it out of my check, it just broke me.
You got that right. That's the only break you get of your taxes, when they take more out your check. Well, what I'm going to do is create tax relief for homeowners as well as tax relief for everyday citizens of Chicago. And how do we do that? One of the things is we need to lower these fines. I'm going to get rid of the red light and speed cameras so they're not taking $100 a pop out of your pocket. The other thing is we're going to get rid of the meters in downtown Chicago and in most of our communities, because I'm going to tell you why. They're nothing but revenue generators. And if they want to take me to the Supreme Court, good luck. Because first of all, that contract is illegal.
Let me ask you a question. Whose idea was it to put meters on residential streets?
Daddy Daly. Sorry.
Wait a minute. You're right. That is through Daley, right?
That's good.
And doesn't one of the candidates, didn't they work for Mayor Daley?
Mm-hmm. And doesn't Daley work for the company that owns the meters?
Wow. You see the
Hold
connection?
hold up. Daily works for the company?
Wow.
And the company that owns the meters is based in Abu Dhabi.
It's not even an American company. And that really saddens me. You know, with the loss of American jobs in this country, you know, I'm a huge patriot when it comes to to the United States Constitution and to our great nation. I love America, and I love our Constitution, and I love our people. But I'm really saddened that we have countries that are sending their business over here and taxing the hell out of American citizens. Why should an American company be doing business in Chicago?
I have another email. I am a retired Chicago teacher. I just recently went down to Springfield to get information about the Illinois politics in the recent weeks. What is your view about short breaks for teachers and long term? Because there is a turntable that's going on at this present time. Lessons in history, civics, and separate from civics to politics. What's your view about that?
Okay, repeat that again, because she kind of mixed all that up there. You know, she I'm
gonna sum it up from what I just read. Basically, she's a retired teacher.
Okay.
Who sat at a pension fund meeting, and she wants your view about the separation between civics and politics. Is it a match for teachers in the Board of Education?
Is it a match, civics and politics?
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt, politics affects every asset of your life. You have to, you know, when people talk about, you know,
but for the Board of Education, for the teachers, what's going on? Teachers in the city have been on a turntable, and they are getting just a lesson of history, but not understanding what civics and politics is all about in the Board of Education.
Well, first of all, I want to say I have a great, deep appreciation and love for school teachers, because I came through the public school system. I know the impact that a teacher can have on a young child's life, the doors that it can open in the wisdom and knowledge and care under the tutelage of our teachers. So I have a great deal of admiration and respect for them, and a great deal of support for them. My point is simply this. You got to let the teachers teach, and by the same token, pay them their self-worth. And right now, teachers are being used as a pawn. Education is being used as a tool to blame society with. And that's just not a good formula whatsoever, and it does nothing to bring any stability to our nation. And I do mean our nation, because let me tell you something. Education is of national security. It's a national security issue. And most people say, well, what do you mean education is a national security issue? Think about this. In other countries, they focus very heavily on education. And if you take a look at Japan and China, their economy is growing faster than ours at a rapid rate because of their strong focus on educating their children. They're creating a workforce that is able to grow their economy at 3 times the rate of ours. And if we don't get our hands wrapped around and make sure we invest in our children and make sure we take a strong stand in education, we will no longer be the global leader in this country. Almost everything you purchase in a store when it comes to electronics is made where?
Okay. Thailand, China, Asia.
Exactly.
Philippines.
So why shouldn't we be utilizing today's technology and investing heavily in education to grow a qualified workforce that is second to none in the world, so that we can create these apps and these computers and different things and sell them to other nations around us?
I understand that, but how is it that the mayor will we're talking about the McCormick play. That plays a big part in the trade industry right now with Asia and the food and the Candy Expo and things like that, and the RV and the auto shows. That's the big break. Even though only car manufacturer we have right here in Illinois is we have it in Rockford and Belvedere,
right,
the Chrysler, and we have the Ford plant. What other manufacturing companies do we have, and how would the new mayor of Chicago, ensure youth are able to get these factory jobs so they don't have to move out to Indiana or Portage or somewhere to work in the steel mills?
Well, the mayor has to be one who can advocate on behalf of the city to grow business, to create an economic boom in the city. And so the mayor has got to reach out and make sure that, number one, you reach out for companies that are American made. There are American made companies that do apparel, t-shirts, coats, shoes. Reach out for those companies. One of the things you notice right away under my administration is that we're going to utilize the greatest assets that we have in the world in this country, and that's the American worker and the American entrepreneur. We're going to grow business here. We're going to give people the capital and access to contracts to help grow business here in every community.
So I live in the South Shore area. When they closed the Dominic's right there on 71st and Jeffrey, it really created a food desert. One of my neighbors, an elderly woman, was really struggling because she had to go all the way to 75th and Stony Island for groceries. What can you do, or what would you do about closing up some of these food deserts where we have low-income people who can't, our kids are going to school hungry, they're going to school now nutrition, they're not mentally or physically prepared to learn, and because, our citizens in those areas don't have access to fresh fruits, vegetables, milk isn't spoiled or overpriced. What would you do about closing some of these food deserts that we have in our areas?
First of all, what I would do is go into those communities and get their voice and what they want and how they want it. Then working collectively with the community would go out aggressively to pull those businesses in. But here's one of the things that's going to shock you, is that I found out in most communities, and in most of my experiences in life, because I serve on several different communities, committees that are in communities, is that right from the community, they have great ideas, and all they're looking for is capital. Why couldn't one of the residents open up a grocery store? Why does it necessarily have to be Walmart? If you can have Walgreens, why can't you have Pookie Greens?
No, nobody would shop there.
I beg to differ. I'm going to tell you why. Johnson & Johnson was black owned, and white folks bought everything they could to put on a baby.
Okay.
So when people say, well, I don't know if that's a great idea, then you're not educated enough on our history of what we built. Today, the traffic light was invented by a black man. I haven't seen a replacement for it yet.
That is true.
Walgreens started somewhere. Why can't Pookie Green start somewhere?
That's absolutely true. But you have to be. Our children. We're not raising entrepreneurs anymore.
But that's why you invest in public education. That's why you start to teach civics in school again. You understand what I'm saying? Home economics.
But until then, teaching economics and civics and things like that in school, because all that is basically getting taught at magnet schools and charter schools right now, not in the public schools.
Exactly, and that's where the problem is at.
Okay, so where would you take that direction at, since the superintendent of schools are not doing what they're supposed to be doing? How is the new mayor able to, we've spoke about what you're going to do, the first thing you do when you get in that office, who you're going to put out, what you're going to do, but once you put them out, whom is going to come in and replace those individuals and have that knowledge and know what to do? And I'm not talking about these young girls that have no problem with you going to school, getting your education and everything, and want to be a teacher, but at the same time, we need experience. Well, and that's what's going on here for the race of mayor. Experience.
Exactly. Well, here's the bottom line. Over the years of being involved and being raised and growing up in the city of Chicago, I understand the culture of Chicago. That's number one. If you're going to be the mayor of this city, you better know the culture of this city. You cannot have any misconceptions of how things work in this city. And so you have those in this race. Some understand the culture. They've been a part of it, and we don't need them back. Some are brand new to it, and they have some perceived misconceptions that certainly will keep us in the same pothole that we're in already. One of the things I've learned growing up in this city is not only the culture, but how things truly work. How to change things. You see, in order to be able to change a system, you got to be able to work that system. It's like the game of baseball. If you don't know the rules going in, You're certainly not going to be on the winning team.
Who is striking out right now? Right now, who is striking out in the city of Chicago? Because our records is a bunch of lies being thrown around, exactly. A bunch of misnotions, and all the lies and everything has just been displayed out for the last couple of weeks. So we got low crime rate, we got this, we got that, and then all of a sudden we go right back to talking about this killing, senseless killing of children in the city of Chicago. How can we prevent this? I know parents are scared to take involved of caps and everything, but how is it that the city can be a part of the mayor's plan?
Well, understand this. First of all, the mayor can't govern just from City Hall, and that's what Rahm Emanuel is doing. And if you listen to some of the other people in this race for mayor, that's exactly what they're talking about doing. I'm talking about being boots on the ground in the community. You want to change?
What about bringing in the National Guard?
You don't need the National Guard.
Why not?
This ain't a war zone. This is an American city.
It's not a war zone, but we've just been declared as the murder capital of the United States. We need the street.
You got that right.
Okay,
but
the Chicago police need help, right?
Well, you got that right. And what that calls for is the mayor to get up off his butt, be in the community, talk to the parents, bring in some jobs, invest in the schools, okay? Make sure that we're able to fund some of the non-for-profit and faith-based organizations that are also pillars of the community to work to address many of the issues. That's what it takes to get it done. Can it be turned around? It most certainly can.
In 6 months?
In 6 months? Well, let me tell you this. I don't think it takes long to do anything, but I think you first have to make a move.
Okay.
If you don't make a move, then you're right. You're going to be suffering like we've been suffering for almost 40 years. Okay. It's almost like reliving Moses.
He's going to be out of office real soon, hopefully, you know. Hopefully he doesn't pull anything with the money situation, because you know money talks, words walk. You know.
I think words change things.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I'll give you a good example. Civil rights came about because of words and action. Words do have powerful meanings. They do make an effect. Let me tell you something. If it was money that won every election, please give me the phone number to Mitt Romney, because I like to know what he's doing these days, because it certainly ain't president of the United States.
Okay.
If money was a strong tool for just having your way, then somebody give me the phone number to Alexis Julius.
See, a lot of people need to understand and learn and know that, because they figure because Rahm Emanuel slapped down $10 million for his campaign. Okay, and
so like, what?
Okay, what is other campaigns candidates doing? You know, yeah,
that's right. Because let me tell you something. You could spend millions of dollars. Let's be realistic. In 1983, Jane Byrne had $10 million. Harold Washington had no money when he first started out. No money. And he did not have all of the people behind him when he first came out. People learned of Harold. Harold grew a movement. And it changed things. That's the way it's always been in this country. Always. Since the conception of the United States. We didn't want to be taxed by Great Britain without having any say-so in our government. So what did you have? You had the Great American Revolution. This is a country where when people stand up and begin to work together and begin to make their voices heard, things do change.
So are you for or against conceal and carry? We're barking on people are starting to get training, they're starting to get their guns, and they want to be able to protect themselves. And do you believe that with this conceal and carry law that it's going to get worse? Because before conceal and carry, the guns were on the street, our children were still being murdered. My nephew was gunned down about 5.5 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And the guns aren't going anywhere. But how do you feel about the conceal and carry? Do you feel like that's going to add or subtract from the issues that we have?
I think carry and conceal will help to lower the crime, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I was one of the main supporters who worked with Mr. McDonald and others for years, and I'm talking longer than 20 years almost, to make sure that we got carry and conceal here. And as you know, Daley and them spent billions of dollars, not millions, billions, to try to stop that. And what I thought was always so unfair and unjust about it is that you had many Anglo-Saxon homeowners who owned guns, who carried guns in the city, But guess what? None of the minorities had them. The Constitution says equal protection under the law. And when you allow one segment of society to have all the rights and you strip the other segment of society from having any rights, that's not equal protection. And so I am a supporter wholeheartedly of the Second Amendment. And let me tell you something, I will do everything to protect that amendment, because once you lose one amendment of the Constitution, it opens up for you to lose all the others.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have to understand there's so many memories out here that the candidates can talk about and get to, but you have to understand, memories only last for so long. We have to make a new change. So give us a call, 708-343-3906. That's 708-343-3906. Ask your questions for the candidate, Frederick Collins.
You are standing there, knocking on my door, looking so good. Just can't ignore, wanting me to take you back, start all over again. The hurt is so deep, I know you'll understand. Too many memories. Oh, down and talk for a while. Girl, the sweet smell of your perfume is still driving me wild. The closer you get, the longer you stay. Makes it harder and harder for me to stay away. Too many memories. Too many memories, and they're just killing me.
All right. We've been talking about some memories, some major memories. We're coming back right now, live on the air with candidate for mayor of Chicago, Frederick Collins. Ladies and gentlemen, give me a call at 708-343-3906. This is the Rob G Afternoon Drive Show on GSJBC Radio, Smooth Jazz Gospel Jazz Radio. So if y'all got any more questions, I know last time y'all just trying to hold back and see if he's answering your questions. You know what? Some of the people need to be reacquainted. Who is Frederick Collins? Who is Frederick Collins?
Well, you know, Frederick Collins is a young man who grew up on the Greater West Side of Chicago. Was raised by two loving parents who instilled in him spirituality and a love and a belief in his fellow man and sister, who also taught him that you had to participate in your community and that you had an obligation to help out wherever you could. And so I've grown up with those values instilled in me, and I've utilized them all my life. It's one of the reasons why I could have done many things in my life, but the career I chose was one to serve and to protect. And as mayor, that's what I intend to do, is to serve all of the citizens of Chicago and protect all of the citizens of Chicago.
So what is your gift to this craft of running for mayor?
I would have to say my heartfelt concern and belief that we as a people together, and I mean all the people of Chicago, not just black people, not just Latinos, I mean all of my Anglo-Saxon, white, red, yellow brothers and sisters together, that we can create a coalition that is a reflective of our Constitution and the belief of our nation in being united as one.
What is your solution to this gun violence? What would, if you just had a magic wand, you can wave it and say, voila. What is your solution? We are a 14-year-old little girl has died at the hands of another 14-year-old little girl, what would be your solution? What would you put into place? Because we know this can't happen overnight. We can see change overnight, but nothing changes overnight. So what would be your solution to cut down on this gun violence?
Well, like I said, and I'll repeat it again, I'm a realist. And the number one solution is, first of all, communication. And then knowledge of self. Because what I found out is many times in the communities, our children don't know who they are. And some adults don't even know who they are. So we've got to bring back some spirituality and some knowledge of oneself. The most sad thing is, and I want to say this, I was at two public schools. And I took a look at the history book. And how many years has President Obama been president?
6 years.
About 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Well, the history books they had didn't even mention him. They stopped at Bush.
Really?
I found that really disturbing. And so I said, wait a minute, these are your history books? They don't even mention the president.
But from what I'm gathering, reason being because teachers have to go out and purchase these items themselves.
That's true, and that's one of the other reasons why I'm really upset with those, especially this current administration, who works against our teachers. Because I am 200% for our Chicago public school teachers and our Chicago public school children.
I want some teachers to call in at 708-343-3906, 708-343-3906. Voice your opinion about what's going on. How do you feel the mayor is treating you for the city of Chicago that you're in right now in the office? How are you dealing with it? Ask the mayor your questions. Give us a call, 708-343-3906. We have candidate Frederick Collins, who is here waiting for your phone calls. He is going to be here for the next 15 minutes because he got to get out here and he got other engagements he got to get to. But this man is here for you. He's for the people, not the politics. He's not a politician. He's a person. He's a people person who is working to make the politics work for you. So give us a call, 708-343-3906, 708-343-3906, Smooth Jazz, Gospel Jazz Radio. So we've been talking about a lot of issues, from pension reform to issues to getting things going on. We had Try Shy. Is that right? We got Try Shy. Trey Shay.
I'm gonna beat you over.
Oh, she gonna beat me over my head. Oh, she gonna. Hey, we already had Miss Cotton in here talking about she gonna take my microphone and beat me with it.
I want to know where is the money from the lottery? That's supposed to be generated. The money from the lottery is supposed to go into the education system here in Illinois. And as you know, any day of the week you go into the gas station and you can't fill your tank up because there are a lot of people, old people mostly, standing in line spending their savings and Social Security on lottery tickets. Where is this money going? Where is this lottery money going that's supposed to be designated for the education of the children of the state of Illinois?
Well, I think it's going the same place that the money from the parking meters is going. Wasn't that supposed to be also to help out with the city and education? Not only that, but where's the money from the traffic cameras going to? Wasn't that supposed to be in the 2014 budget? And it's not. That's one of the reasons why we've got to get rid of these politicians that just double talk. And that's one of the reasons I have also a problem with some of the candidates, many of the candidates in this race for mayor, because they're double talking. Here you have Mr. Robert Fioretti, who's an alderman, but yet everything is happening and he just can't do anything. He can't do anything as an alderman. What is he going to do as mayor? Absolutely the same thing. Then you have another candidate who worked in the daily administration, but has forgot about the hired truck scandal, has forgot about the pension scandal, has forgot about the corruption, and says, oh, but I went there to learn how things work. Well, you learned a lot then, because you've certainly done nothing out here. The thing is, we need real people who've had their boots on the ground. I've been out here working and serving and protecting the public, working in community organizations. I was able to send 2,500 kids to college who had no money. through my church and various other community groups that I work with. I've been able to get families into homes who were sleeping on the streets. I've been able to help shelters come together and be able to stay alive another year. I've helped people who ran out of their link, because they cut link. It was like they was putting so much money on it, they just had to cut link. We've helped those people be able to find groceries and get money to help pay their bills. So that's what it's going to take to be the next mayor of the city of Chicago, is to make sure you have all these issues on your heart. The mayor can't have a day off. There's just too many things that are happening.
Now, I hear you, and a lot of things that you've been talking about, some deal with state issues. And what about municipality issues?
Well, those are municipality issues. When you talk about shelters, city of Chicago,
the food stamps are dealing with. I thought that was a state level issue.
It's not only a state level issue, but it's a city issue.
Okay.
Because when families are hungry in your city, you've got to take the forefront in leading to address those issues. You can't wait.
Why is the mayor not doing anything about that right now? What is it? His platform he's trying to achieve?
It should be obvious. He's achieving, enriching himself and his 5 buddies. When it was snowing and everything was happening here and all of us couldn't get down the street because he privatized half the streets and sanitation, the mayor was on the farm with Ronner, his buddy.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's you just touched on something about the snow. We ran out of salt. They had to go and get sand. How will the new mayor address this issue? What would you do in advance before December gets here, November gets here, and then all of a sudden we have a big snowstorm again, people stuck on Lakeshore Drive? How will you address the issue? Where would you get, I understand the funding with the tolls and everything, where would the funds come to get an allotment of salt from a salt house? Why can't we just have a huge salt warehouse on Lakeshore Drive, the size of McCormick Place?
First of all, the city of Chicago doesn't have a money problem. It has a corruption and theft problem. Our tax dollars are being stolen from us by the corrupt politicians. And I'm going to prove it to you. There are at least 50 different constructions going on in the city of Chicago. Where is that money coming from?
50?
Yeah. You want me to start naming some?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, let's talk about the red and blue line construction. That's just one. Let's talk about the overpass construction. That's 2. Let's talk about the new park being built on the lake shore.
For Maggie Daly.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Where'd that money come from all of a sudden? Let's talk about the sports arena for DePaul. Want me to keep going?
Yeah, go ahead. Give me a few more.
Let's talk about the brand new Malcolm X construction, in which no black contractors hold a contract on. Don't get me started. I don't play.
What about this Malcolm X?
Where's that money coming from?
What about it? I don't know anything about it.
Let me tell you what I know about it.
See, there's a lot of
there are no primary black contractors on any of those jobs, or any primary Latino contractor holders on any of those jobs, or any Polish primary contractors on any of those jobs. How do you intend to develop a community when you don't even allow them to be able to work? It isn't that people don't want to work, it's that they're being denied the right to work.
But is it being brought to their attention? Are they aware? Do they know
where to get
the resources from to get the petitions?
Let me tell you something. There are community groups out here every single day of the week, 24 hours a day, stomping, hollering, going out there, advocating. There are even cases in court right now. Do you know there are at least 4 or 5 different cases before the Supreme Court right now in regards to redistricting, in regards to closing the schools, in regards to misappropriation of funds? And what was the last thing on the news that happened just the other day with Pat Quinn talking about his anti-violence program? People are out here losing their lives. Families are starving. And let me tell you something. These politicians are playing games. They're stealing our money. Point blank. What am I going to do as mayor? Number one, I'm going to revamp the whole system. I'm going to make sure that there's transparency. But more importantly, that there's open communication and citizen panels set up so that those who betray the trust of the citizens and the public end up with their butt in jail. And you know, as a policeman, I put people in jail.
I heard Bogo was getting ready to get out. What's the chance of him getting back in office?
Who?
Rod.
Oh,
When you get that where?
Oh yes, yeah.
Well, I never have a problem. I never had a problem with that.
Let me say this. Rob Blagojevich did more for seniors and minorities and working family and children in this state than any other governor ever did. Regardless of what your income was, Rob Blagojevich made sure you had health care before there was ever Obamacare. So we got to give knowledge to who knowledge. Give credit to who credit is due. One of the things I'm worried about is the fact that Rom worked in the daily administration before he became mayor. And if I'm correct, Miss Amira worked in the daily administration and now is seeking to become mayor. We certainly don't want a rerun.
Wow. Give us a call, 708-343-3906. The time is 4:20. I know those that haven't called in will be able to listen to the show a little later. Once again, thank you for Mayor Frederick Collins, because we calling you Mayor because we predict that this was going to happen. I want to thank you very much. Once again, this is his weekly forum, Ask the Mayor. If y'all have any questions, you know where to contact him. Where can they get in contact with you again?
Well, you can always visit our website at www.collinsforchicago.com. Once again, that's collinsforchicago.com. You can also personally reach me at 312-515-6135. That's right. You can personally reach me at 312-515-6135. Anybody that wants to work for you, you should be able to reach them. The other thing is, if you visit our website, you'll see other ways of communicating, other ways of contacting our camp. Come on out and join Team Chicago, because Team Chicago is team people. We're putting people over politics, the way public service should be.
Well, y'all heard it straight from the mouth of the future mayor of Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, this man will set you off with some memories. And he's not going to take your last $2, but he's going to send you with a wonderful kiss to let you know that if you want to be a part of this campaign, you got to listen to a man who has an interest in your heart as a person.
That's right.
Not a politician. So, give him a call. That's what he's doing. He's sending you a kiss off to let you know that he's going to be there kissing every baby's hands, everybody who has thanked and welcomed him into the office of mayor. So, thank you again, Frederick Collins.
Thank you for having us
for the
back out
weekly
again.
show, Ask the Mayor.
We'll see you next week.
Girl, sit down and let me rub your back, baby. Ease the tension and the pressure building up inside of you.